clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
So as you remember last week, at the end of the podcast, me and my producer, Jerry Petuck, I was trying to figure out how to top that interview with Scott Hall. And do I just drop the mic? Do I end the podcast? No, I'm not going to end the podcast. I'm having fun. So I went back and I started thinking, how do I top Scott Hall? How do I top Scott Hall? I'm looking through my phone. How do I top Scott Hall? So there was one person, two people, and one is Roddy Piper, who's passed, and this other person who were my absolute two favorite wrestlers growing up and and as a fan. I think something that I don't know if a lot of people realize, that when people who are fans of the business get in the business, they don't stop being fans. They're just lucky enough to be able to go back to the dressing room afterwards, or go back to the bar with the guys, or drive from the gathering of the Juggalos to a hotel, like I did with Roddy and my guest this week, and be able to chat. We people who are in the business have certain advantages, obviously, but doesn't mean we're not fans. So I've appreciated everything that those guys have done, Roddy and this man has done, from being a kid and watching his legendary feuds with Dusty Rhodes, Jack Briscoe, and Jerry Lawler, and so many others, to go into WWF and then just being the heart and soul of ECW. A great angle with WCW against Ric Flair, and he was around towards the end with Bunkhouse Buck and Colonel Rob Parker. So how do you top Scott Hall? Ladies and gentlemen, my guest this week on City Ringside is the one and only former heavyweight champion of the world. He is a Hall of Famer in many halls, and my favorite wrestler of all time. I am honored in just a few minutes to bring out Terry. How do you top Scott Hall? Terry effing Funk is what I put on Twitter. And now the question is, how do I top Terry Funk? I don't. I can't. I won't. I refuse to. We will. I assure you, we will have a great guest next week. But I cannot keep topping myself. It is impossible, unfortunately. But I'm honored that to have the chance to talk with Terry, and Terry is the kind of guy who, and I think he'll admit it in the interview, Terry's the kind of guy who I went and saw what was supposed to be the final Leonard Skinner show at Jacksonville at the football stadium out there during Labor Day weekend. And it was supposed to be the final show, and then of course they decided they were going to keep doing shows, limited shows moving forward. I actually saw it. It was, Jerry, you'll get a kick out of this. I saw on Facebook yesterday, Kiss's final farewell tour. God, I could swear Kiss's final farewell tour was like 20 years ago. So running joke is on me that I spent $120 per ticket to go see Skinner's quote unquote final show at the Jacksonville Jaguars Stadium. But I read an article, and one of the reasons that they were winding things down is because the last original member, unless you count Ricky Medlock, who had a cup of coffee with them at the very beginning as a drummer, believe it or not, before moving on to Blackfoot and then coming back to Skinner towards the end.
I get it. It's a wrestling podcast, but he's saving us money on our mortgage. Do you really trust this process? The reviews don't lie. 5-star review after 5-star review. We make it fast, we make it easy, and it's no cost or obligation. Give us a shot to earn your business. I'm telling you, you'll be glad you did, especially if you like keeping more of your own money. You don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket, so what are you waiting for? Hurry to SaveWithConrad.com.
Skinner over the years. Been lucky. They're huge wrestling fans, and there was a time where I was able to offer them access to guys like Goldberg and Flair and people that were heroes, and of course the guys in Skinner were heroes to so many of us. So I got to know them. I still text back and forth with Ricky Medlock to this day. And so met those guys a lot. I'm not going to say I'm buddies with them, but got to hang out with them in their dressing room a lot, and their tour bus a couple times. And so, and Gary Rossington was one of the nicest guys in the world. And he was going to retire from the band because he had health issues. And as he contemplated retirement and contemplated that last show in Jacksonville, I guess he decided that it really wasn't going to be over until he was no longer here on this earth. That he wanted, if he went out playing Freebird or Sweet Home Alabama, then so be it. But he was going to keep going, albeit take, it's slower, not tour, 5 months straight, but just tour, a couple weekends a month. And so I guess that's what Skinner's going to do. And not sure what Kiss is going to do, but we'll find out soon. And then I saw Cher is coming back, and I could swear Cher did her farewell tour because I went to it probably 15 years ago when I first moved to Tampa. So the rib's on me. My point is, a guy like Terry Funk loves this business so much, is consumed by this business so much that I believe, and I'll ask him towards the end, but I believe that if his last move in life is a moonsault off the top rope, and that's the way that it was his time to go out, I honestly believe that he would think that was funny as hell, and he would get a chuckle out of that. That's what kind of guy he is. So, the rib is, how many times is Terry Funk going to retire? Well, I'll ask him at the end of this interview if he's finally retired. But I wouldn't be surprised if I saw him in a ring a year or two from now on an indie show, just because he loves it so much. And he puts his passion and his heart and soul into this business, whether it's exploding barbed wire glass crazy matches, or whether it's six-man tag team match with the Rock and Roll Express against Jerry Lawler and a couple of partners on an indie show, which was, I believe, the last match that he has had, which was about a year ago. And he did a moonsault in that match with the Rock and Roll Express and Lawler. And then, as I said, totally honored. I have limited time for this interview. So I'm going to try to ask the question. I wrote pages of questions, and I'm going to try to ask the ones that I think are the most interesting ones that I want to hear and that I think that you'd want to hear. And we hope you enjoy this interview with the one and only legendary, my favorite wrestler. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready. It's Terry Funk time.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.